West of Arkham, the hills rise wild, and there are valleys with deep woods that no axe has ever cut. There are dark, narrow glens where the trees slope fantastically, and where thin brooklets trickle without ever having caught the glint of sunlight. On the gentler slopes there are farms, ancient and rocky, with squat, moss-coated cottages, brooding eternally over old New England secrets in the lay of great ledges. But these are all vacant now. The wide chimneys crumbling and the shingled sides bulging perilously beneath low gambrel roofs. The old folk have gone away, and foreigners do not like to live there. French Canadians have tried it. Italians have tried it. And the Poles have come and departed. It is not because of anything that can be seen or heard or handled, but because of something that is imagined. The place is not good for the imagination and does not bring restful dreams at night. It must be this which keeps the foreigners away, for old Ammi Pierce has never told them of anything he recalls from the strange days. Ammi, whose head has been a little queer for years, is the only one who still remains, whoever talks of the strange days. And he dares to do this because his house is so near the open fields and the traveled roads around Arkham. The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. Yes, my friends, it is another Mythos Monday here at stately Vaughan Manor. And today we are talking about The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft, one of H.P. Lovecraft's most terrifying and successful stories. It was certainly one of H.P. Lovecraft's favorites out of the ones that he had written, his own choice for one of his best stories, because he felt that it conveyed the sense of cosmic horror that he tried to evoke in his stories. And he was right. He really pulls it off in this one. The Color Out of Space. Yeah, I remember when I first read this. I first read it in this volume, this Arkham House volume, the Dunwich Horror and Others. I must have been about 15 or 16 years old. And I remember how creeped out I was by this story, because this story is genuinely scary. It's a scary story. It's scary because of what happens in the story and because of what the story suggests. There's a couple reasons this story works as well as it does. The story is narrated by a surveyor who's out in the valley. The valley is outside Arkham, surveying for a new reservoir, because this whole area where he's going is going to be underwater in the new reservoir there. And at one point he's traveling down a road, and he travels down this area which is all gray, and it looks like everything had been burned all around the area. But the weird thing is that the grayish dust on the ground, it doesn't move when the wind comes by. It just stays there, still. And he sees by the road the remains of an old well and the foundations of a house. So he inquires about it later, and the locals are hesitant to say anything about it, about the strange days. And they tell him, hey, don't listen to anything that old crazy Ammi Pierce out there says. You know, don't go to his place and ask him about this, because he's nuts. Don't ask him about the strange days. So the surveyor does just what you or I would do. He goes straight to Ammi Pierce, and sure enough, he gets the whole story about the strange days, which happened when Ammi was about 40 years old, and it happened to a friend of his, Nahum Gardner. Nahum Gardner was a farmer. He had a nice family, a nice farm. It was the house that was there by the road in that blasted heath area. And one night, a meteorite flashes down out of the sky and crash lands right outside Nahum Gardner's farmhouse. And it was a big event in the area, meteorite crashing there, right by the farmhouse. People from the university come out and they kind of study it. They pick a piece off of it. And the weird thing is that the meteorite when they pick at it, it's kind of plastic. It's kind of rubbery. So they kind of gouge a chunk out of it. It's not rock, this thing. And inside there's kind of this globule. And it's this weird color that nobody had ever seen. A mysterious color, a color out of space. That was a color that nobody had ever seen. It doesn't belong in our spectrum because it's from outside, and so it can't be described. And so this globule pops, and that was it, I'm like, well, that was weird. And after a couple of days, the meteorite actually shrinks, and it kind of shrinks and vanishes. And so, well, that's kind of weird, but Nahum Gardner goes about his business. Family goes about their business, and come harvest time, all the plants and everything, all the fruit grows to stupendous size. And Nahum Gardner thinks, great, man, I'm having the greatest harvest ever, until they taste the fruit. And it's disgusting. It just tastes awful. And so what Nahum Gardner figures is that, this meteorite, it's come down, and something about it, it's poisoned all the soil. But unfortunately, this is a Lovecraft story. This meteorite did a lot worse than that. And a lot of weird things start happening. First of all, there's an invasion of insects. Insects start showing up everywhere for a couple days. Other plants start growing all weird and strange, and they have this strange color that's very similar to the color that was in the meteorite. A strange color that nobody's ever seen. So people are like, man, we got to stay away from this place. So the gardeners are kind of shunned, Nobody will go out there. And, they go about their business, and they try to do the best that they can. But like I said, this is a Lovecraft story, and horrible things ensue. Whatever has come down with this meteorite starts causing even worse things to happen. And, being Lovecraft, it involves death and madness and worse. I don't want to go into the details because I want you to read the story, because it is a great story. But just, take it from me, terrible things happen. And the strange thing that has come down with the meteorite, we never really find out what it is. The only glimpse we get of it really is a color. That's it. That's all we see of it. A color out of space that causes all these strange and horrible things to happen. And we don't know where it is. We don't know what it is, where it came from, what it wants, if anything. Does it want something, or is it just like a weird natural occurring thing? We have no idea whether it's conscious or not, or what it is. And that's one of the terrifying things about it, and about this whole story, because what this story is, it's what it does. One of the scary things, just apart from the things that happen in the story, what is scary about the story is what it suggests. There is one point where Amy Pierce is like, he's like, what did I do? What did I do to bring this awfulness down upon me and my family? This must be a judgment, but I don't know what for. I mean, I've always been as good a man as I could be. And what he's doing is he's asking a very natural question, that when horrible things happen to us as humans, that we just naturally ask. It's just a natural reaction. If you were hit by a car and you were paralyzed, one of the natural things that you can do is just say, well, what did I do? Why did I deserve this? Why has this happened to me? It's something we just naturally do. And the answer in Amy's in Nahum's case, was he didn't do anything. This meteorite just happened to crash land by his farm. It's no judgment, you know, because there's nobody there to judge him. There are no gods in Lovecraft's universe that are judging Nahum or his family. It's just pure chance, you know. There is a reason why this happened to him, but the reason is that this meteorite just happened to crash land next to his farm, and there's this crazy alien entity or something traveling along with this meteorite. The same answer that you would get is if you're hit by a car and you're paralyzed and you're asking, well, what did I do to deserve this? Why did this happen to me? There is an answer to why it happened to you, but the answer is probably something like, this guy was driving too fast and not paying attention, and he just happened to hit you. That's the answer. There's no judgment. There's nothing you did or could have done differently. It's just pure random chance that you were hit by that car. And you were hit by that car because this guy was driving too fast and not paying attention. That's it. There's nobody out there judging you. It's a cold, unfeeling universe which doesn't care what you do. It's unconscious. It can't care. And that's the thing. That is what H.P. Lovecraft is suggesting in this story. You know? There's nothing anybody could have done. It's a cold, unfeeling universe, and you are all on your own. And if bad things happen, them's the breaks. It's just tough luck. There's nothing you could have done differently that would have changed this outcome. And that's part of the horror of the story, you know. And Lovecraft evokes that's part of his cosmic horror philosophy, you know, and he evokes that most successfully, I think, probably in this story, with these good people that horrible things just happen to. And let me tell you, it's pretty scary what happens. It's a tremendously effective story. It's really creepy. I highly recommend it. Yeah, it's certainly one of my favorites. If it's not my favorite story, it's up there. It could be his best story. It could be. It's hard to judge, but it could be his best. So yeah, The Color Out of Space. I highly recommend it. Next week on Mythos Monday, I think, let me double check, but I think we're going to be doing the Dunwich Horror next week. Yeah, the Dunwich Horror next week. That's what we're going to be doing next time. That's a great story, so that'll be fun too. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. Stately Vaughan Manor once again. Got some other things coming up tomorrow. It's Tuesday, but I'm not doing a tag tomorrow. It's a TBR Tuesday tomorrow because I'm trying to work out my TBR for the rest of the year because it's a mess. It's all a mess, and I need to work it out. And you guys get to witness it. Yay, lucky you. And I've got some other stuff. I'm going to be returning to the vault of ancient science fiction, bringing up more treasures from the vault. Lots of fun stuff coming. And I appreciate all of you joining me here. And so, until we meet again, thanks, guys.